Bigfoot is what we call an opportunistic omnivore, which basically means it eats anything. And it would make perfect sense that as an omnivore, Bigfoot would find an abundant and plentiful food source in this mushroom patch.
In the shadowy depths of America's wilderness, where ancient forests whisper secrets and moonlight barely penetrates the canopy, something extraordinary continues to elude our understanding. For decades, witnesses have emerged from these remote places with tales that challenge everything we think we know about the natural world. Their stories share common threads: towering figures covered in thick fur, impossible strength, and an intelligence that seems almost human yet utterly alien. The Delaware family encounter, a night that changed everything. 1997. The year was 1997, and Frank C. was doing what countless American families do every weekend, heading home after a peaceful camping and fishing trip. Route 404 through Gravel Hill, Delaware, stretched ahead in the darkness as his family settled in for the drive home. The kids had fallen asleep in the back seat, exhausted from their outdoor adventure, while Frank and his wife chatted quietly about whether to stop at the next roadside diner. Then, in an instant that would haunt them forever, everything changed. Out of the darkness at the edge of the road, a figure appeared. But this wasn't a person. It was something far more extraordinary.
This is not a dude in a suit. There's no way a person could imitate that kind of motion up in a tree. Most of those branches probably couldn't even support an adult human male's weight. It has to be an ape of some sort. I think that is a Sasquatch.
Both Frank and his wife saw it clearly. A massive, hairy creature standing an imposing 7 to 7.5 feet tall, watching the passing cars from the shadows with an intelligence that was both fascinating and terrifying. Frank's wife reacted with the instincts of someone who knew they were witnessing something unprecedented. "Stop the car!" she shouted, immediately reaching for the camera in her bag. What happened next would produce some of the most compelling photographic evidence of Bigfoot ever captured. The first photograph reveals the silhouette of a massive bipedal creature, its body covered in thick, brownish fur. Despite the weak lighting conditions typical of nighttime photography, the image shows remarkable detail. Well-defined shoulders, long arms, and surprisingly proportioned legs that suggest both power and grace. The creature is captured from behind, standing motionless, as if aware it's being observed. But it's what the camera revealed once the photo was developed that makes this encounter truly extraordinary. Clinging to the back of the adult figure were two smaller shapes, two infants. If you examine the photograph closely, you can make out tiny hands, arms, legs, and heads nestled into the thick fur on the adult's back. This detail transforms the image from a simple Bigfoot sighting into something far more profound.
There's precedence in the other great apes. A very high-profile study was published about gorillas in Rwanda clapping when researchers enter their area, apparently to warn the other troop members. There's no reason to think that Sasquatches wouldn't do the same thing.
Evidence of a family unit, a social structure, a species caring for its young. The second photograph, taken from a closer distance, provides even more compelling details. The creature's coat appears grayish with a mix of reddish-brown, uneven and natural-looking, in a way that would be nearly impossible to fake convincingly. The frame shows the creature standing motionless against a backdrop of dense vegetation, confirming the forest environment of the encounter. The Kentucky Giant, An Encounter with the Impossible, early 2000s. The early 2000s brought us another chilling encounter, this time from the dense forests of Kentucky. A lone hiker was following a familiar trail on a cold autumn day, the path flanked by steep hills on both sides, creating a natural corridor through the wilderness. The solitude was exactly what he'd been seeking, a chance to disconnect from the modern world and immerse himself in nature's tranquility. That tranquility was shattered by the sound of thunderous footsteps echoing from the right side of the trail, just beyond the slope. The footsteps weren't human. They were too heavy, too powerful, suggesting something of enormous size moving through the forest with surprising speed. Moments later, the source of those footsteps revealed itself, and what the hikers saw defied all logic and expectation. A massive creature appeared, easily standing 10 feet tall, significantly larger than most reported Bigfoot encounters. Despite the limitations of early 2000s camera technology, the resulting photograph captures most of the creature's body, with only some areas partially hidden by the surrounding trees. The image reveals feet that are enormous beyond human proportions, legs that are thick and powerfully built, and an overall frame that is unbelievably broad. The sheer scale of the creature becomes apparent when compared to the surrounding forest elements. Trees that would dwarf a human being seem almost small next to this towering figure.
Height estimates, based on the recreation from the investigators that I personally know, put it between 7 and 8 feet tall. Whatever that is on the hill, it is very large.
What's particularly unsettling about this encounter is the creature's unusual proportions. While experts generally estimate Bigfoot's height to fall between 7 and 9 feet, weighing between 600 and 900 pounds, this being appears to exceed even those generous parameters. Most strangely, its head appears oddly small compared to its hulking body and impossibly wide shoulders, an unusual characteristic that sets it apart from typical Bigfoot descriptions. The implications of encountering something like this in the wilderness are terrifying to contemplate. A creature of this size would likely possess incredible speed and strength beyond human comprehension. The hiker's survival of this encounter speaks either to the creature's non-aggressive nature or to pure luck. The backyard intruder. Terror comes home. Not all Bigfoot encounters happen in remote wilderness areas. Sometimes the unknown comes looking for us in our own backyards, bringing terror directly to our doorsteps. One homeowner experienced this firsthand when strange noises near his house prompted him to investigate with nothing but his phone for protection. What he captured on video is both fascinating and deeply unsettling. The footage shows a large humanoid figure partially obscured by natural foliage, offering a fleeting yet captivating glimpse of something that closely matches popular descriptions of Bigfoot.
I've spoken to several witnesses that have reported this kind of sound. That says something about the authenticity of not only their sighting, but these sounds.
The creature displays the classic characteristics: tall stature, broad shoulders, and dark shaggy hair covering most of its visible body. The subject stands upright with a slightly forward-leaning posture, suggestive of a heavy, muscular upper body. Its arm position appears relaxed but extended, possibly captured mid-stride as it moves through the backyard. The legs are partially hidden by grass and brush, though their stance hints at forward motion and remarkable stability for such a large creature. Using nearby objects for scaled trees, a shed in the background, and a chain-link fence, the figure appears significantly taller than an average human, likely over 7 feet. The width of the torso is also disproportionate to a normal person, lending credence to the idea that this may not be a hoax or someone in an elaborate costume. One of the most compelling details is the uniform, matted finish of the creature's dark brown or black fur. There are no signs of fabric seams, bagginess, or other common giveaways of a costume. The light reflecting off the fur appears natural and consistent with the ambient lighting, suggesting that it isn't artificial texture. The video quality reveals subtle motion blur at the arm and leg edges, indicating the figure was moving quickly when captured. This dynamic quality is common in supposed Bigfoot footage and is often interpreted as evidence of the creature retreating from human presence, a behavior that suggests both intelligence and a desire to avoid contact. The New Jersey River Encounter, a modern sighting, May 19, 2025. The most recent documented encounter occurred on May 19, 2025, along a river in New Jersey, proving that these mysterious creatures continue to interact with our modern world. A man was out hiking alone, simply enjoying some peaceful time in nature, when he noticed something that would change his perspective forever. A dark humanoid figure stood partially hidden behind a tree, silently watching him with an intelligence that was both fascinating and deeply unnerving.
It's right there above my finger, behind the tree. I can see it, barely. Look! Look!
The witness, clearly startled by the discovery, quickly began recording, zooming in and trying to show viewers exactly what he was seeing. There, it's right there above my finger behind the tree. I can see it barely. Look, holy, right there. Look, it's going up the hill. What is that thing? He can be heard saying in the footage, his voice filled with a mixture of excitement and fear. The creature, apparently realizing it had been spotted, took off sprinting away at high speed. The witness, clearly panicked but determined to document the encounter, kept filming as the creature climbed up a steep hill with remarkable agility. It's at this moment that the creature's full size becomes apparent. It appears noticeably larger than a human, moving with a fluid grace that seems impossible for something so massive. The witness mentioned that he often hikes in areas like this and had never encountered anything out of the ordinary until this day. A day that changed everything for him. This detail adds credibility to the account, as it comes from someone familiar with the area who would likely be able to distinguish between normal wildlife and something truly extraordinary. New Jersey might seem like an unlikely location for Bigfoot encounters, being one of the most densely populated states in the country. However, the state has its own deep-rooted Bigfoot lore. The Pine Barrens, Appalachian foothills, and remote western regions have long been linked to sightings of mysterious hairy creatures roaming the woods. Back in the early 1970s, reports began emerging from Sussex County in the state's northwestern corner. Witnesses claimed to have seen a large bipedal hairy creature moving through the dense forests of Stokes State Forest in the Kittatinny Mountains. Locals also described hearing eerie howls, wood-knocking sounds, and discovering massive footprints that defied conventional explanation.
Look at this cast, look at this cast. We have the toes across the front, what looks like an instep or an arch, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have a divergent little toe right here, which I really like. That comes down. I think it's safe to say that's a very strong resemblance between the two.
While the Pine Barrens are best known as the home of the legendary Jersey Devil, there have also been numerous sightings of Bigfoot-like creatures in the region. These were often described as dark, hairy figures standing around 8 feet tall, frequently mistaken for bears until witnesses saw them walking upright with unmistakably human-like gaits. In the late 1980s, a group of hikers near Wharton State Forest reported spotting a tall, human-like creature silently observing them from a distance before it slipped away into the pines with remarkable stealth. These historical accounts provide context for the recent 2025 sighting, suggesting a long-standing presence of these creatures in New Jersey's wilderness areas. The Idaho mountain encounter, crystal clear evidence, late 2021. Toward the end of 2021, footage emerged from Idaho that stands out for its unusual clarity and proximity to the subject. Uploaded by YouTube user NVTV, this video shows what many believe to be one of the closest encounters with Bigfoot ever captured on film. While hiking up a snow-covered mountain, a family noticed a large, dark humanoid figure in the distance. At first, it seemed to be sitting still on the slope, blending seamlessly into the rugged landscape, like a natural part of the mountain itself. Then, to their surprise and growing excitement, it rose to its feet, revealing a towering stature and unmistakably upright posture. The family's reaction, captured in their own voices, provides authentic emotional context to the encounter. "You'll be fine. I'm just going to get more footage of the Sasquatch. Hey, seriously, look how big it is. He's just chilling. I don't think it is a human. I think it's a Sasquatch, 'cause look, he's on the mountain, way far back on the mountain, but look how huge he is." Their commentary continues as they attempt to convey the creature's enormous size. "Okay, so now we drove way down the hill and look how big that person still is, all the way up on that mountain. Way the hell up there, you can see them right there. He's sitting on a rock, he's huge." The family's genuine amazement and their attempts to use distance and perspective to demonstrate the creature's size add credibility to their account.
You can actually make out that this is walking on 2 legs. It is one color from head to toe. That shows us it is not wearing clothing. You would be able to see differentiation in color, but this is one color head to toe, which indicates to me that this large bipedal thing is probably fur covered.
Their natural, unscripted reactions suggest they were witnessing something truly extraordinary rather than staging an elaborate hoax. The government leak. Controversial footage, March 17, 2025. On March 17, 2025, exclusive footage surfaced online that has caused significant controversy in the Bigfoot research community. According to the caption accompanying the video, the newly leaked clips allegedly came from a government source and appear to show what looks like a Bigfoot in its natural habitat. The footage is characteristically shaky and unclear, suggesting it may not have come from a trail camera as initially assumed. Instead, it appears to be handheld footage, possibly captured by someone who stumbled upon the creature unexpectedly. The relatively close-up footage captures a bipedal humanoid figure moving swiftly through the forest. The creature appears to have been startled, possibly unaware of the cameraman's presence until the last moment. At first, it's seen crouching low, seemingly preoccupied with some task, but once it realizes it's being watched, it quickly bolts, possibly carrying something as it disappears into the trees. This black and white video has gone viral across several social media platforms, drawing the attention of millions and sparking intense debate about its authenticity. The big question that has emerged from the online community is simple but profound. Is it real? The footage has divided viewers dramatically. One viewer insisted it's as authentic as it gets, while another claimed it represents just the beginning of AI-generated videos being passed off as genuine. This division reflects the broader challenge facing Bigfoot research in the digital age, where advancing technology makes both genuine documentation and sophisticated hoaxes increasingly possible. Interestingly, the footage is rumored to have been leaked by a government source, though no exact location has been provided, only adding to the mystery and speculation. The lack of specific details about the source or location makes verification nearly impossible, which is both frustrating for researchers and convenient for those who might question its authenticity. The property guardian. Stones and grunts in the woods. Sometimes Bigfoot encounters begin not with a sighting, but with evidence of the creature's presence and behavior. One property owner discovered this when he noticed signs of damage around his land and decided to investigate the nearby wooded area. As he moved deeper into the forest, he was suddenly startled when several stones were hurled toward him from an unknown source. The unexpected aggression immediately put him on edge. This wasn't random falling debris or the work of mischievous humans. The stones were thrown with purpose and accuracy, suggesting intelligence behind the action.
There's a retired cryptolinguist from the US Navy. He's realized that there are phonemic patterns that repeat in the sounds. Those are words. Sasquatches might be talking to one another.
Moments later, he heard low guttural grunts echoing through the trees. These weren't sounds he recognized from any known wildlife in the area. The vocalizations were deep, powerful, and carried an almost conversational quality that suggested communication rather than simple animal noises. Fearing for his safety and increasingly convinced that he may have stumbled upon something extraordinary, possibly a Bigfoot defending its territory, he quickly turned around and fled the area. The experience left him shaken and wondering what exactly he had encountered in those dark woods. The Michigan River Crossing, A Family in the Water, 2021. In 2021, a remarkable piece of footage was submitted to the Rocky Mountain Sasquatch Organization by a man named Eddie V. The video itself was recorded by Eddie's cousin while kayaking along a stretch of the Cass River in Michigan, and what it captured has become one of the most emotionally compelling pieces of Bigfoot evidence ever documented. The footage shows a large humanoid figure, seemingly covered in light brown fur, wading through the river. But what makes this sighting truly extraordinary is what the creature appears to be carrying. What looks like an infant creature resembling itself, cradled carefully in its arms as it moves through the water. Although the footage suffers from the blurriness common to many alleged Bigfoot sightings, the figure is clearly visible as it navigates the river with remarkable care and purpose. The way the adult creature holds what appears to be its offspring suggests not just intelligence, but deep emotional bonds and family structures that mirror our own understanding of parental care. The gentle, protective manner in which the larger creature carries the smaller one through the water speaks to a level of consciousness and emotional depth that challenges our assumptions about these mysterious beings. This isn't just a creature moving through its environment. This is a parent protecting and caring for its child, demonstrating behaviors that are profoundly relatable to human observers. The Alaskan wilderness, howls and hurled stones. The vast wilderness of Alaska has always been a place where the impossible seems possible, where the sheer scale of untouched nature makes it easy to believe that unknown creatures could exist undetected for centuries. Keithy6, the creator behind the YouTube channel Metal Detecting in Alaska, discovered this firsthand during what should have been a routine solo metal detecting adventure.
Oh, jeez.
I've heard bears growl, and you can tell how powerful it is, and this sounded like that. It sounded really powerful.
Deep in the Alaskan wilderness, far from any human settlement, Keithy6 was documenting his search for buried treasures when the peaceful silence of the forest was suddenly shattered by haunting, echoing howls in the distance. These weren't the familiar calls of wolves or other known Alaskan wildlife. They were something entirely different, something that seemed to carry intelligence and purpose. The howls were unsettling enough, but what happened next elevated the encounter from mysterious to genuinely frightening. Just moments after the eerie vocalizations faded, a massive rock came hurtling through the air and splashed into a nearby lake, startling Keithy 6 and making it clear that whatever was making those sounds was not only nearby, but was actively aware of his presence. The combination of the unsettling vocalizations and the unexpected stone throwing left Keithy 6 deeply unnerved and convinced that he had just experienced a genuine Bigfoot encounter. The behavior pattern howling followed by rock throwing matches documented Bigfoot behaviors from encounters across North America, suggesting either a genuine creature interaction or an incredibly sophisticated hoax in one of the most remote locations on Earth. The Alaskan wilderness, with its millions of acres of unexplored forest and mountain terrain, represents perhaps the most likely habitat for unknown species to exist undetected. The sheer scale of the landscape, combined with the harsh climate that limits human exploration, creates perfect conditions for creatures like Bigfoot to thrive while remaining largely hidden from human observation. The Illinois mushroom hunter, more than fungi. Sometimes the most compelling Bigfoot encounters happen to people who are simply going about their everyday activities, completely unprepared for an encounter with the unknown. A mushroom forager in northern Illinois experienced this firsthand while exploring a wooded area in search of edible fungi for his YouTube channel, Tomorrow's Garden. The forager was documenting his finds, pointing out various mushrooms and their characteristics, when something extraordinary happened. And this one looks like it has a bite out of it, and this one, and there's one over here, looks like it's holding some water, he can be heard saying in his calm, educational tone, completely focused on his botanical discoveries. Then, without warning, the peaceful forest atmosphere was shattered by sounds that would change his entire perspective on what might be lurking in the woods.
Bears do regularly growl. However, they don't tend to scream or yell for long periods of time. Their growls are very concentrated, but this was very loud and very extended.
The audio captured what appeared to be vocalizations or movements that were clearly not from any known forest wildlife, prompting an immediate and instinctive response. "I think it's time to go." At first glance, the footage appears genuine, with the forager's natural, unscripted reaction suggesting a real encounter with something unexpected and potentially dangerous. However, the incident sparked considerable debate when some viewers noted that the audio sounded eerily similar to something from a movie, raising questions about the encounter's authenticity. What makes this case particularly interesting is the forager's dedication to investigating his own experience. 6 years after the original incident, he returned to the same area and filmed a follow-up video, hoping to capture additional evidence or experience another encounter. This time, however, nothing unusual was heard, and the forest remained peacefully silent throughout his visit. The fact that the original video made its way onto the History Channel speaks to its impact on the Bigfoot research community, regardless of questions about its authenticity. The incident demonstrates how even seemingly mundane activities like mushroom hunting can suddenly become extraordinary when the unknown intrudes into our everyday world. The hunter's giant monkey, authentic analysis. Among the various encounters documented, one stands out for the professional analysis it received from experts in the field. A hunter captured footage of what he described as a strange creature resembling a giant monkey, something unlike anything he'd ever encountered in years of wilderness experience. According to the hunter's account, the creature's behavior and physical characteristics were completely outside his extensive knowledge of local wildlife. The footage, despite the limitations common to field recordings, captured enough detail to allow for professional analysis by experts who specialize in examining alleged cryptid evidence. After careful examination of the video, these experts made a significant determination: the footage appeared to be authentic. This professional validation carries considerable weight in a field where the vast majority of submitted evidence is quickly dismissed as hoaxes, misidentifications, or natural phenomena.
Through frame-by-frame examination, it appears that the camera is handheld. that's documenting this interaction, and there's some rapid movement with motion blur based on just general physical aspects of the scene analysis. It does appear to be real.
The expert analysis likely examined factors such as the creature's movement patterns, proportions, interaction with the environment, and the overall consistency of the footage with known physical laws and biological possibilities. The fact that professionals in the field found the evidence compelling enough to declare it apparently authentic represents a rare endorsement in Bigfoot research. The hunter's description of the creature as resembling a giant monkey is particularly interesting, as it aligns with many historical descriptions of Bigfoot encounters. Early European settlers and Native American tribes often describe these creatures in similar terms, noting their ape-like characteristics combined with human-like intelligence and behavior. These encounters, spanning decades and crossing multiple states, paint a consistent picture of something extraordinary living in the shadows of our modern world. From the family photographs in Delaware showing adult creatures caring for their young, to the recent government-leaked footage from 2025, the evidence continues to accumulate while remaining tantalizingly just beyond definitive proof. What emerges from these accounts is not just the possibility of an unknown species, but evidence of creatures with complex behaviors, family structures, and intelligence. The stone throwing, vocalizations, protective parenting, and apparent awareness of human presence all suggest beings far more sophisticated than simple animals. The truth, whatever it may be, continues to elude us, hiding in the shadows of our forests, waiting for the right moment, the right witness, and perhaps the right technology to finally step into the light and reveal itself to the world.